For years, George Clooney seemed untouchable, a man who had everything: fame, beauty, a purpose, and the woman who made him believe in forever. But behind the photographs of elegance and laughter, something darker began to grow. The man once known for his charm and humor started showing cracks only those closest to him could see. And when he finally spoke about what had gone wrong, the truth wasn't glamorous. It was heartbreaking. From Hollywood's eternal bachelor to devoted husband. For decades, George Clooney was Hollywood's golden bachelor, the man who swore he would never marry again after his brief, painful union with actress Talia Balsam in the early 1990s. He joked about it in interviews, calling himself not very good at marriage. While his friends settled down, Clooney filled his life with film sets, political causes, and late-night laughter. To the world, he seemed perfectly content in his independence. But privately, there was always a quiet loneliness, the kind that fame never cures. Then, in 2013, everything changed. During a quiet summer at his villa on Lake Como, a mutual friend introduced him to someone who wasn't from his world: Amal Alamuddin, a brilliant human rights lawyer from Oxford and New York University. She wasn't dazzled by Hollywood, nor did she chase the spotlight. When she walked into his home, George later said, "It was like something shifted. Everything was different on every level." Their romance unfolded quickly. By April 2014, Clooney was down on one knee in his kitchen, nervously waiting for her to open a drawer where he had hidden the ring. She almost missed it. The proposal stretched into awkward laughter, long silences, and his final plea: "I'm 52 years old, and my knee's gonna give out soon." Amal said yes. That September, they married in Venice, Italy, surrounded by friends, cameras, and a world that believed this was the fairy tale ending. For a time, it was. Clooney transformed from a late-night drinker into a family man. When their twins, Ella and Alexander, were born in 2017, he called it the greatest moment of his life. The couple built a home in Provence, launched the Clooney Foundation for Justice, and became a symbol of intellect and glamour fused together. She fought cases before the United Nations and the International Criminal Court. He directed and acted in socially charged films. They appeared unbreakable, the picture of grace and partnership. The cracks begin: long distance, work pressure, and emotional strain. By 2025, the Clooneys had been married for over a decade, a lifetime in Hollywood terms. To the public eye, they were still perfect, smiling on red carpets, raising twins, and appearing hand in hand at global events. But away from the flashbulbs, their lives were moving in opposite directions. Amal had taken on a prestigious teaching role at the University of Oxford, while George prepared for his long-awaited Broadway debut in Good Night and Good Luck. For the first time in years, they weren't just emotionally distant, they were living on different continents. Insiders close to the couple told Radar Online that this wasn't the usual separation of two busy professionals. It was deeper, a quiet trial separation, though neither wanted to admit it out loud. Amal and the children stayed in England, surrounded by her academic world. George, meanwhile, spent long nights rehearsing in New York City, sometimes alone in his apartment after curtain call, sipping a drink he swore he'd given up years ago. "It hasn't been easy being this far apart," one source said. "They've been drifting, not fighting, just fading." Clooney had once said he and Amal never argued. In fact, in an interview with CBS Mornings in April 2025, he smiled and insisted, "We still haven't found anything to fight about." It sounded like a dream, a perfect marriage without tension. But relationship experts later warned that such harmony could mask something dangerous: silence. When couples avoid conflict, they often suppress hurt, disappointment, and exhaustion. They smile through it, until one day, there's nothing left to say. Amal's life in Oxford was full of purpose: lectures, students, and casework at The Hague. George admired her, but that admiration sometimes came with a pang of guilt. He told the New York Times that when they met, he never thought he had a chance. She was 17 years younger, brilliant, and already had everything she needed. That difference, once charming, had started to feel like a gap. He was 64, she was 47, and their lives were running at different speeds. The relapse, a night that changed everything. The breaking point didn't arrive with shouting or betrayal. It came in the form of a single night, one that started with applause and ended with regret. In June 2025, George Clooney appeared alongside Amal at the Tony Awards in New York. To everyone watching, the couple looked flawless, elegant, in sync, radiant beneath the lights. But as the night wore on, the line between celebration and escape began to blur. After years of self-discipline, George decided to catch up for all his abstinence in one night. He later admitted in Esquire magazine that he ended the evening like a high school drunk. The next day, he was sick and embarrassed, but he tried to laugh it off. The public found the story charming. Amal did not. According to friends who spoke to Radar Online, she was furious. For her, it wasn't about one night of drinking, it was about what it symbolized. She admired the effort he put into staying sober, one insider said, but hearing him boast about getting dumb drunk really upset her. To Amal, it was a painful reminder of the man George used to be, the younger actor who once showed up to film sets hungover and treated excess like a joke. She had fallen in love with the version of him who had outgrown that, who had become a husband, a father, and a partner she could rely on. When George tried to downplay the incident, Amal drew a line. She's told George that his drinking isn't something she's prepared to overlook, the source added. Those words cut deep. For a man who prided himself on control, being confronted by his wife, the woman who once called him her anchor, forced him to face something terrifying. He was slipping. Friends described the following weeks as tense and quiet. They retreated to their $8.3 million estate in Provence. The olive trees, the vineyard, the silence. It was meant to be their sanctuary. Yet the stillness only amplified the distance between them. Amal spent her mornings working remotely on legal cases. George wandered the gardens, rehearsing lines for his Broadway production. At dinner, conversation felt polite but thin. She doesn't see wild nights out as charming or funny, a family friend explained. She's got 2 young children, a demanding career, and a strong sense of order that George doesn't always share. The last thing she wants is for careless behavior to disrupt their family life. Trial separation and the facade of perfection. By March 2025, rumors were spreading faster than either of them could contain. According to Radar Online, friends close to the couple whispered that George and Amal were living what they called a trial separation. Amal had taken their twins to England, where she was teaching at Oxford. George, meanwhile, remained in New York to chase a dream that had lingered for decades, his Broadway debut. From the outside, it didn't look like trouble. George spoke proudly of Amal's work. Amal told colleagues she was supportive of his stage commitments. But in private, the time apart had stretched thin. They tried to FaceTime every day, to bridge the gap with small moments. Ella's drawings, Alexander's laughter, bedtime stories whispered across time zones. But as the weeks became months, the distance became more than physical. They're used to being apart for a few days, one insider said, but this is different. It's testing them in ways they never expected. Amal's Oxford schedule was relentless. Between teaching law and managing high-profile international cases, her days were consumed by responsibility. George's Broadway life was its opposite. Long rehearsals, late-night performances, and the lonely quiet that follows applause. They were living in parallel worlds. Neither was wrong. Both were just trying to live their purpose. Yet love, even the strongest kind, can weaken when it's stretched too far between two ambitions. The tabloids were merciless. Headlines screamed of growing strain, distance, and divorce whispers. But what made the story so believable was that neither denied it. They simply stayed silent, a silence that, ironically, spoke volumes. Friends said Amal saw the time apart as necessary reflection. George, on the other hand, saw it as exile. He missed the noise of family, one confidant revealed. He missed hearing Amal in the kitchen, missed the kids running through the house. For him, New York wasn't freedom. It was loneliness disguised as opportunity. And yet, just when the speculation reached its peak, they appeared at the Venice International Film Festival in August 2025, walking arm in arm, smiling as if nothing had ever gone wrong. Cameras flashed, crowds cheered, and for a moment, the illusion of perfection returned. Amal looked radiant, George effortlessly composed. It was the image everyone wanted to see, the Clooneys, untouchable again. But behind that calm exterior, questions lingered. Were they simply performing, as they had learned to do so well? Or were they genuinely trying to find their way back to each other? As one friend quietly put it, they're both brilliant at keeping their private worlds sealed off. But sometimes, what looks like peace is just quiet sadness. Amal's words, George's confession. When Glamour magazine published Amal Clooney's interview in the autumn of 2025, it was meant to celebrate her friendship with makeup artist Charlotte Tilbury. But what truly captured attention were the rare words she offered about her husband. It was the first time in months that Amal had spoken publicly about George, and what she said revealed more than any statement could. "I have a partner in life who is so supportive of what I do," she told the interviewer, glancing toward George, who kept stepping in and out of the room during the conversation. "When I became a mom, he was the first to say, 'You've got this speech at the Security Council. I'll take care of the kids. Go do it.'" Those words seemed to quiet the rumors that had followed them all year. Still, the pain behind them was hard to miss. Amal sounded grateful but also weary, like someone remembering better days rather than living them. For George, hearing those remarks was bittersweet. He had always admired Amal's brilliance, her compassion, her fearlessness in the courtroom. Yet those same qualities sometimes reminded him of what he was losing, the feeling of being her equal. In private, he confided to friends that the fame and glamour people envied had become a burden. "I never wanted to be a headline about love," he told one longtime associate. "I just wanted to be a husband." When George finally broke his silence later that year, he didn't issue a press release or a carefully phrased denial. He spoke quietly, in an interview few expected him to give. Asked whether the rumors of a split were true, he paused for several seconds before answering. "You know," he said softly, "marriage isn't about staying the same. It's about holding on when everything around you changes, and when you change too." He didn't confirm a divorce, but he didn't deny it either. Instead, he described what it felt like to lose connection even while still sharing a home. "Sometimes," he admitted, "you can sit across from the person you love and feel miles away. And when that happens, it's not anger you feel, it's grief." People who knew him said that was George's confession, the acknowledgement that something sacred between them had faded. There was no scandal, no betrayal, only the slow erosion of time, ambition, and distance. The once untouchable couple had become, in the end, like everyone else. Two people trying to find balance between love and identity, between duty and self. Still, Amal's final words in that Glamour interview offered a glimpse of hope. "I feel so incredibly lucky to share every day with him," she said. "And now we're 4. I don't take any of it for granted." Perhaps that was her way of saying the story wasn't over, that marriage, even bruised, can survive honesty. The aftermath and what comes next. By late 2025, George Clooney had learned that even the most beautiful stories can break quietly. What began as one of Hollywood's most admired marriages had turned into a lesson about distance, aging, and the limits of control. The world still saw the perfect smiles, but those close to the couple noticed how different things felt. There were no more long, playful interviews, no red carpet jokes, just shorter answers and longer silences. Friends said the couple had agreed to spend more time apart, not out of anger, but out of acceptance. Amal continued to teach law at Oxford, raising Ella and Alexander in England's calm countryside. George remained mostly in Provence, splitting his days between his vineyard, occasional directing projects, and his Broadway commitments. They both love their children deeply, one associate explained, but they've realized they can't live the same kind of life anymore. She thrives on structure and purpose. He thrives on freedom and nostalgia. They're just built differently. In private, George admitted that he was haunted by time. At 64, he was no longer the young man who could charm away every mistake. The mirror reminded him of it daily. The lines around his eyes, the exhaustion after performances, the ache in his knees. Meanwhile, Amal remained as focused and radiant as ever, a woman defined by intellect and momentum. "I used to be the one moving too fast," George once joked. "Now she's the one running ahead and I'm just trying to keep up." Their home in Provence, once a place of laughter, became a refuge for reflection. George spent long evenings walking through the olive groves, sometimes with a glass of wine he promised himself would be the last. It wasn't rebellion anymore, it was resignation. He wasn't drinking to celebrate, only to remember what it felt like when life was simpler. He often recalled the night of his proposal, how nervous he was, how much he wanted her to say yes. "I think I just wanted to prove I could be someone's forever," he told a close friend. "But forever is harder than I thought." And yet, there were moments of grace. The twins visited him during school holidays, filling the quiet house with laughter. Amal still called, still cared, even if her tone was more formal now. They spoke about the children, about her foundation, about his shows. What they didn't speak about was them. Some say they're still together, quietly rebuilding. Others say the separation has already become permanent, only waiting for the right time to be announced. Maybe George and Amal's story isn't about endings at all, but about what it costs to hold on to love when fame, distance, and time pull it apart. Do you think love can survive after everything they've been through? Share your thoughts in the comments below. And don't forget to like and subscribe for more untold Hollywood stories.